Okay, it is exactly 5:30. Welcome to our COPA MDT company parent meeting. My name is Katie Higbee, and Mindy Robbins should be joining us any second. That's sort of what I was pausing for, but I like to start on time, so we're gonna do it. It feels very quiet. I don't see any faces. I see one face. But welcome. We're super grateful to have you here. Thanks, Delon. And I'm going to make you all tiny anyway, and then I won't see you because that way I can see my list. So feel free as we go through this meeting to put questions in the chat, or we usually have someone monitoring the chat and they can't hop on until a little bit later. So feel free to just also unmute yourself and ask questions. And we'll as we get through a few sections at a time, we'll pause and ask if there's any questions. But until then, Mindy and I will sort of monitor the chat room until we have an official person. But Mindy's on now, so I'm going to let her take over for a second and get us started.
Hello, all the MDT parents. It's so good to see you always. And here we are again at another awesome company parent meeting. It feels like we blink and the years go by. I wish I could see just by raise of hands, but it doesn't work. How many of you are new to COPA or here to learn more? I'm just scrolling quickly, and some of it is just first names, so I wouldn't really know. But to those of you that are new, welcome, and I hope this will be informative. To those of you who are returning, always glad to have you back as part of the COPA family. So we're going to start off with just a brief history of COPA. If you are unaware of the beginnings, so COPA actually started on the Tuacahn stage, only kind of. Maybe it started in my first voice lessons when I was 6. I don't know, but years and years ago in 2002, I was playing Annie and Annie Get Your Gun, and Nathan and Susie Balser were Tommy and Winnie, if you've seen the show. And my husband and I were just newly married. And we became best friends and said, we should start a studio. We should run a studio together. And smiled and thought, yeah, that would be awesome. Then we auditioned for a cruise, and all 3 of them, including my husband, Connor, who's not a musical theater person, got cast. And I held us back from our dreams of traveling the world and performing. But they went on to do a lot of really awesome things, including degrees and Broadway credits. And Connor and I, he got a master's degree, and we moved to Colorado. And anyway, we moved back to Utah. And it was like 2006. And COPA kind of just happened. It was originally called Robbins Music Theater Academy. I started teaching voice lessons, and my wait list got super long. And I had 2 really young children. And I thought, hey, what if I ran classes, kind of like BYU's Music 161 class? And I took these kids on the wait list, and I could teach more people, but I could teach less hours. And that was the birth of what is now COPA. Years later, it became Robbins Music Theater Academy. It was in my basement in my home. 2 years later, we kind of doubled in size, and we went out and rented a space for a year. And then we moved into what you may know now as the COPA building. So that's been lots of years ago. I think, Katie, do you know how many years we're on?
We literally just figured it out this weekend, and it was like 15 or 16. Oh, in the COPA building, I think we said this is year 11 or 12.
Yeah.
Or 13.
So it's been a lot of years.
I think we're
And
starting our 13th year is what we figured out.
in the COPA building, yeah. And 15 years ago, for the beginnings of what was Robbins Music Theater Academy, then became on Broadway, and then it became Utah COPA. COPA stands for Conservatory of Performing Arts. Nathan and Susie went to New York and performed. Nathan did 5 Broadway shows. Susie was having beautiful children. And then they moved to Wyoming, and he taught there. And then from Wyoming, they ended up wanting to come back to Utah, And we're like, hey, so we're running that studio we talked about. You guys should come be partners. And sure enough, they were like, well, really? Is it too late? No, it's never too late. And so that was lots of years ago, and a wonderful decision. Nathan and Susie are amazing, and they contribute to COPA in so many ways. And Connor, my husband, he does all the CFO, CEO things for COPA, and we've been super fortunate. Katie Higbee and I met when I was 10. She's way older than me. I'm just kidding. She's not. But I was 10 and she was 14. And we performed together actually in kind of like a COPA, small version of a COPA-esque experience growing up. And then years later, we were just recounting this. She came to a Tuacahn show and was like, hey, what are you doing? I was like, I'm running this academy. You should bring your kids. And she said that I brought up like, are you on Facebook? No, what's Facebook? So it was that long ago. But anyway, she ended up bringing Max, her oldest son, who's super talented. And then within probably a year, we hired Katie, and she's been our MDT Academy director. Katie, I don't even know how many years, but it feels like forever. And it feels like it should be like for eternity, because she's the best. Seriously, COPA MDT program would not function without the heart and brains and Google Docs of Katie Higbee. So what is the mission? And let me say this before I move on. We have IC DeLon Hux, who I love so dearly. I see Aaron Robbins, who's on our team. I'm seeing if we have any other teachers. It looks like we might have Sandra Farnsworth, who is part of our COPA team. But if I'm missing any other COPA faculty or directors, gosh, I hate crying, but gosh, I just love our team. Like, awkward Zoom cry. You're not with anybody. And so you're just like crying in your room by yourself on camera for everybody to watch later. But we're so lucky. We're so lucky to have this amazing faculty, from company directors to our office staff to our teachers. Like, seriously, people, like, it doesn't get better. It really doesn't. What's the best thing about COPA? The people, the students, the parents, the teachers, the directors. It is a COPA family. I have 4 kids, and they've all been at COPA, some of them a lot more than others. And I have a daughter that's going to be a senior next year. And she is like, we call her the queen of COPA, only because she's the longest running student. So when she graduates, that will go to whoever has been in the program longest. And she's decided this year that she doesn't want to pursue musical theater. And my good friend DeLon's beautiful twin, said to me, you must be so sad. You've built this program and you love musical theater. You must be so sad. No, I'm not even kind of sad. Now, if she wanted to do it, I'd be 100% fully invested and supportive. But I look at her COPA experience from 3 to 16 currently, 13 years of training. And what I see are teachers and directors and friends and a second home that she has been able to develop her talents and her confidence that will bleed into every aspect of her life. She's in Future Farmer of America, and we're going to the banquet on Wednesday night. I have high hopes she wants to do something in animal science. That's awesome, right? But I know that what she's learned at COPA will bless her in whatever she decides to do. So if you're here because you have a kid that doesn't stop singing in the car or plays every new Broadway album on Alexa all day long through your house and sings full out, or has loved to watch movie musicals or wants to go to plays with you, then COPA is a wonderful place, especially like those musical theater kids. And I'm just going to tell you right now, we are a special breed. We're a different genetic code. And if it's in your blood, it doesn't ever leave. And that's not threatening. It's wonderful. It's something to hip hooray about, because it's an awesome group of people. But like if you have a musical theater kid. Now, if you're like, I might have a musical theater kid, you'll know. Come do a COPA class or come do COPA companies, and it will become clear. It'll ignite a flame and a passion and a fire, and they will be just wanting more and more. Or it'll be like, hey, I want to try soccer. And that's great too. really just our mission is that developing talents builds confident human beings, and confident human beings make better decisions. They make better friends. They stay out of trouble more. They hold their head up a little bit higher. They are capable of facing difficult things and think to themselves, I can do this. Confidence is honestly one of the greatest gifts. And the nice thing about it is it's a gift. Some people are born with natural confidence, right? But other people, anybody can gain confidence. And one of the greatest ways to gain confidence is through talent development. So that's what we do. And what we do, we try to do at the very best level with the very best teachers. We try to hire teachers who have degrees and have studied musical theater or are teaching in musical theater or have professional credits in musical theater. So your kids are in the very best hands. I can tell you that from 13 years of experience. So we're glad you're here. Katie, I know that was longer than normal. I'm sorry. I just get talking. Every year it comes around, I'm like, oh, I just like to think about our COPA mission and all of the family and the friends that I love. Okay, I'm done.
I'm just glad you cried first this time. So we always laugh about who's going to cry first. It's just a matter of time, friends, and then I'll be crying also. We're just both really passionate about this program. Okay, I am going to share my screen with you and just give an overview of what company is at COPA and what your commitment would be as far as time and cost and all of the things that I know you want to know. So this is the front desk flyer. We call it a flyer. It's not really a flyer because it's online. You can find this by going to utahcopa.com. I probably should have shown you the path, but now that I'm already here, I'm just going to stay here. But you go to utahcopa.com and choose the musical theater companies tab, and then choose musical theater, and then choose American Fork. Seems like a long path to get there, but it's pretty intuitive. So for the 23-24 year, we are planning to have 7 companies. We have Prodigy, which is our youngest, all the way up to CPC, which is our oldest. Principal is also our oldest company. You can see their full schedules right here for next year. Well, most of their schedule. All companies participate in dance curriculum, vocal tech, and acting curriculum, and then company rehearsal. So on Thursdays, they do their company rehearsal and their vocal tech acting class. And this is the schedule that you'll see here divided by company. If you're wondering what company your student will be in, they do go in order. So the youngest we take is 4th graders on paper. We do encourage, if you have someone going into 3rd grade next year that really wants to do it and is committed and works hard and has some experience already with classes or things out in the community, please send them to auditions. We do ask that you prepare them like this is a practice audition because you have to be in 4th grade, but we're going to go practice so that next year you're ready. And then sometimes we will have spots for a handful of 3rd graders and we'll squeeze them in. But Prodigy is typically 3rd, 4th, 5th graders. Premier is 5th and 6th-ish. Spire 6th and 7th-ish. Moxie 7th and 8th-ish. Smash 8th, 9th-ish. Principal and CPC are 10th through 12th. We very occasionally will take 9th graders in those companies. It's very rare, only because we travel and want to take kids that are old enough and mature enough to handle that specific experience. That said, we have occasionally bumped a 9th grader or 2 or 3 up, and that also is a possibility. So I won't go through each of those, but just note that they each have an hour vocal tech acting class and a 2 to 3 hour company rehearsal depending on their age. Over in this right column, you can see the tuition for each of those companies and the boys' scholarship rate. We need lots of boys, so we give them a little break because it's harder to get them, and we want them in our companies, and the girls want them in our companies. So so we give a little break to the boys. Then on a second day of the week, so company day is Thursday, and then on either Monday or Tuesday, depending on your age and level, you have dance classes. And the dance classes are not divided by company, they're divided by level. And we do that because in musical theater, there's a lot of different dance levels, and that's absolutely perfect. If you go to the show Wicked, there's people who are dancing their faces off, or dancing and kicking their faces, and there's people who don't dance at all. And so we recognize that and want all of those kids of all abilities to, whether they are amazing dancers or not, to be able to participate in company that's appropriate for them. And so we divide the dance levels according to their ability. So level A and B are younger students. So it's Prodigy, Premier, Inspire, and they'll just be divided into that, either of those two levels. And then the older companies, Moxie, Smash, Principal, and CPC, are divided between level C, D, and E. So A is the lower, B is the higher, C is lower, D, and E is the highest. We also have the option for students that are more advanced dancers to opt in to dance company classes or participate in dance company. So if you have a student that's an amazing dancer that needs to be pushed further, we do have options for that as well. And the awesome thing about these dance classes is that they are, well, two things. They're geared to musical theater kids, which Mindy said are a different breed. You know, a lot of musical theater kids just want to sing and act, and they don't want to dance. A lot of them love to dance, but some of them are like, I don't want to dance. It's not my gift. It's a struggle for me. But the truth is, if you're going to do musical theater, you at least need to move well. And so we aren't, these dance classes, there's not the pressure like maybe a typical studio dance class to like be the best dancer. It's, we want you to have solid technique and build that tool belt, as you know, get as many tools as you can to help you be more castable and more successful in this. But we're not going to make you feel like you suck because you're not a prima ballerina. Another awesome thing about this program is that it's very hard to find beginning classes for teenagers, especially if you're a boy. And so if you go to a traditional dance studio, oftentimes you're in with like really little kids, or and then you feel awkward. So this MDT dance level C is perfect if you have like a 7th, 8th, 9th grader who's never danced, but they love musical theater and they've got to start somewhere. I love that we have this program. So the younger classes take ballet, tap, and jazz. We want them to a really solid foundation. As they get a little older, we combine the ballet and jazz, but make it a longer class. They still take tap because it's so important for musical theater. I have someone coming in my room. Hold on. I am on a Zoom call with a lot of people.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Hi.
And it's recorded for all of our viewing.
Yes, it's recorded for everyone to see later. Level C, D, and E, they take the ballet jazz combo and tap. And then we love this class. We started about 3 years ago. It's called MDT Choreographic Styles, where they study specific musical theater choreographers who are either, you know, past choreographers who really shaped specific parts of musical theater, or current ones that are you know, really changing the face of Broadway. And we love this because they just learned so much musical theater. There's just, musical theater is not just jazz anymore. It can be hip hop. It can be street dancing. I mean, there's just ballet. Musicals are all over the place now. So it's really great to give them a lot of terminology, a lot of movement vocabulary, so that then when they go into an audition and they're like, you know, the choreographer's like, we're going to do, you know, this is very Fosse. They know what that means. They know, oh, it's Fosse. I'm going to be really isolated. Movement's going to be really small and kind of awkward, for lack of a better word. Or if they're like, you know, if they say this is pretty classic musical theater, they know like, okay, I'm going old school, big jazz, showy. I know what to do with my face. So we love this class. And honestly, the kids love it. It's just so much fun. They study a new choreographer every month. They'll learn original choreography. They'll do choreography in the style of. It's just a really, really great class and so important for kids who want to do musical theater. We also have a lot of add-on classes. These are ones that are not included in the COPA requirement for company, but we encourage them if it's something that your student's interested in. And they are offered at a discounted rate for company members. They get, I can't remember what the number is now, so I don't want to say it. But ask at the front desk if it's something that's interesting to you. So we have a bunch of acting classes. The vocal tech acting class that's required focuses on song and acting through song, and we also do a monologue. The acting class will be a much deeper dive into those concepts and ideas than you can get in the combined vocal tech acting class. So you're getting a great foundation in that class, but if you have a student who really loves acting and wants to dive deeper, those classes are awesome. And then there's tumbling. This is a beginning level tumbling class that we offer for our younger students. We do have some older ones, but they're not listed here. And then COPA Youth Theater. And then you'll see this note down at the bottom. Additional advanced level dance classes are available if you have an advanced dancer that needs to be challenged more than the MDT program is able to. Okay. In addition to the tuition that's listed above, there's some fees. And let me explain really quickly how we do our contract. It's a 12-month contract. So it starts June 1st and ends, or July 1st and ends June 30th of 2024. And some of those months are lighter months and some of them are very heavy months, but we still break the tuition and fees down equally across those 12 months. We started doing that, gosh, I feel like 7 or 8, 9 years ago at parents' request. Parents wanted it to be the same every month. They didn't want, the month that there's 5 weeks to suddenly be more. And then there's a week that there's a month that there's 3 weeks. So, and then same with fees. I think if you've been at other studios, typically as the concert approaches, you get like a concert fee and a costume fee, and then you have to buy tickets also, and it adds up, and it's usually right around Christmas or something. And so we spread those out evenly throughout the year. And we are very careful about it. I want you to know that we literally count every single week of class, and we have the cost for that class. And then we add it all up, divide it by 12. So when you get to a month and you're like, well, we didn't even have class this month, or December, and you're like, but there were only 2 weeks. That is why. We do it so your wallet and checking account are consistent. You always know what you're going to have withdrawn. There's no surprises. And so just remember that when you get to a month that's a little less. And then there's months that there's a lot going on and you're getting above and beyond the hours. So in addition to the tuition, there are some fees. We classify tuition as like your classroom instruction, the building, the teachers, the time in rehearsals and stuff like that. The fees are our hard costs. So that's typically things that we pay to someone else, or that are above and beyond like the classes. So there's a registration fee that is something that goes on every single student, whether you're in a company or a class. That's a typical thing at a studio. So it's $39. These ones, the reason they say TBD, I guess I shouldn't put TBD. It probably should say like varies or something like that. Because it's different for everybody, depending on if you're returning or if you're brand new, or if you grew a ton over the summer, or if you can still use what you had last year. So that's why those are open. We do have dance classwear that is required. It's listed below. I'll show you that in a minute. We do that because it's much easier for the teachers to teach when the kids are all dressed the same. It helps them to see their lines better, the shape of their bodies better. It helps them make sure that they're executing it correctly. So we do have required dancewear for that. The COPA bag is really only required for older companies, but a lot of students do like to get it. And again, it's listed as 2BD because some kids have a bag from 4 years ago that they're still using. So, and then the COPA t-shirts. We, I should have worn mine. I actually was wearing it earlier. We have COPA t-shirts that we love. Every company member needs one black COPA t-shirt. They wear them on Thursdays, and every student should wear them on Thursdays. Some people like to get two, so that if one's in the wash, you have a backup. So that, and then the kids that go on tour need the one black shirt for Thursdays, and then they get 3 colors that they wear on tour. And we love wearing the shirts on tour. It's amazing. Like, we get bright colors, and I should have pulled a picture up and shown you, but we in New York, it was so awesome. We were doing these workshops in these awesome giant studios that like Broadway shows rehearse in, and they're all in there in their bright blue shirts with their big COPA logo, and none other than Susan Stroman, the most Tony Award winning director on Broadway currently, walks in the room and sees 55 kids in these bright blue COPA t-shirts. And not only that, they looked so professional for the teachers. They looked uniform, they looked professional. It was so awesome. And then we went to California with our students, and this was an event with like thousands of students from all over the country. Well, 1,000 students from all over the country. And in every class, those COPA kids stood out. They were mighty in number, and their shirts were bright and colorful, and it was awesome. And we got this media package, and as we flipped through it, we're like, COPA, COPA, COPA. There's all the COPA kids because they're in their bright colors, and it's awesome. And the cool thing too is that we travel with kids from other locations. And so when you're at an event with 1,000 kids, and we have 5 companies from 4 different locations that don't know each other, they can easily recognize each other. So they walk into a class and they instantly have friends to go sit by, even if they don't know them. So that is the shirts. And again, I put TBD because if you're student, there's an echo.
Actually,
Am I the only one hearing the echo?
no, it's echoing for us too. Everything you said started to echo.
Everyone, make sure you're muted. Yeah.
I think that's probably why.
Okay. So if your student has shirts from this year that still fit, they're in good shape. But you'll want to, at the beginning of the year, like take an inventory. Do we still have our black shirt? Do we have the colors that we need and all of that stuff? And just FYI, those colored shirts that are required for the touring kids, other kids can buy them too. If your kid wants the bright blue or the red, they're welcome to get them. It's not like an exclusive thing. But if you are a touring group, you have to get them. Okay, and then these are the regular fees per month per company. And like I said, these cover the hard costs, some of the camp expenses. This is where your concert fee and recital fee, or concert fee and costume fees would fall, that you don't want to have as a surprise all at once. So we add up all those fees, divide them by 12 months. And I'll let you know, we carefully analyze these every year. We go line by line and look at, like, what did it cost last year? Can we lower this? Should we raise this? And we try to be so careful because we know that kids' activities are expensive, and we want to make sure that we are careful with your money. Okay, the next thing on this flyer, and again, you have access to this on the Utah COPA website, are these important dates. And I would encourage you to put these in your calendar the minute your student is cast. Every single year, inevitably, we hear like, oh my gosh, we scheduled a cruise, or, you know, we didn't know we had no idea the concert was this week, or whatever. These dates very rarely change. And the concert dates are pretty locked. The intensive dates are pretty locked. It's very unlikely that any of this will change. So the minute you are cast, and this little chunk here will be in your casting email, put these in your calendar. Now, there's a lot of other dates that will be on the COPA calendar that you can download, but these are the ones that are mandatory dates that you definitely don't want to miss. So there's the dance camps that's included in your fees and tuition. You choose one. Every student should attend one of these, and you can attend both if you want. A lot of kids do, but it is required to attend one. And then MDT company camp is July 31st through August 4th. And then past that, it just has the start date and then a performance, a mandatory rehearsal, performances, performance, rehearsal, performance, and then next year's company auditions. So those are like the not non-negotiable, like we're never that hard, but these are the required dates that you're going to for sure want to have in your calendar. And then when you get cast, there will also be a link to a calendar download that has all the other dates that are fun and important, but these are the ones you definitely want to plan your family vacations around and weddings around and all the things. These are the top dates of the year. We have companies that tour. We love the tour experience. Oh, let me back up to the calendar. With COPA companies, there's 4 performing opportunities each year. So there's 2 solo events. There's this fall solo showcase and spring solo showcase. This is where they share the work that they do in the vocal tech and acting class on Thursdays. The vocal tech acting class is kind of like private voice in a group setting. It's a very small group of students. They coach solos and monologues. So at the fall solo showcase, they will all perform a legit style solo. And at the spring solo showcase, they all perform a belt solo and a monologue. The other 2 performing opportunities are the big concerts. So that's January 18th through 22nd. And again, January or May 7th through 10th. And that's where they share what they do in the company rehearsal time. So each company does a medley at each one, a fall medley and a spring medley. Our theme for next year is Broadway Today. For those of you that are new to COPA, we have a 4-year rotation of themes. We feel like this is really important in their training and education because they learn so many different genres and styles. And because let's face it, if they all could choose, it would be Hamilton and Mean Girls and Wicked and all the current popular stuff that they're currently listening to. But there's a lot more important stuff in addition to that. So our rotations are Broadway Today, which is what they get to do next year. We also have a Disney year, because Disney is a huge employment opportunity and a huge presence on Broadway now. We have oh my gosh, my mind just went blank. 100 Years of Broadway, the history of Broadway, where we do all the classics. And it's so funny. Every time it circles around, teachers are like, are the kids bored with this? It's like old school, but the kids love it. It is genuinely, truly a favorite medley every time it circles around. And it's so great to do like those old classic musicals. And it's awesome because even if they're not in that specific class or medley, they learn the music. They're like getting familiar with it. And they have such a wide knowledge of musical theater by the time they've gone through all 4 years. And then the 4th year, and I didn't say them in order, but the other theme is the jukebox film television year, which is if you're not familiar with a jukebox musical, that's where they take already existing pop music and turn it into a musical. So Mamma Mia is an example that is probably most familiar. But it's interesting, when we started this theme about 8 years ago, we were grasping for straws. Like we were digging deep to find any, jukebox musical that flopped on Broadway that we could turn into a medley. And now they are the thing. Like, I feel like most musicals, I don't want to say most, but so many musicals on Broadway now are jukebox musicals. It's really like the thing now. Moulin Rouge and Juliet, Rock of Ages. I mean, I should be able to say them all because we just did it, and there's just there's a brand new Britney Spears one that's just about to come out. That's all Britney Spears music. So, all shook up. So it's really awesome. And I love that year because they're singing pop and rock typically, and musical theater kids sometimes don't do that very well. I remember when my daughter had to do Rock of Ages, and she is a very legit singer. Like She is about as classical as they come, and she's doing 80s hard rock band music, and it's a different movement style, and it's a different vocal quality, and it's a great experience, and just makes these kids, you know, again, one more tool in their tool belt, and that much more marketable. So, okay, tours. We start touring at like 7th grade and up is what we try to do. I'll do these in chronological order. So Smash Company will be returning to MTCA. I'm gonna cry. Because now I have to talk about how cool these tours are. They're just phenomenal. I should make DeLon do it because she could probably do it without crying. And she was there.
If it isn't medleys or colored t-shirts that get Katie, it's always
Tour. It is. It's always tour. I love tour so much. Not only is it an awesome bonding experience, but one of the things I love about COPA when I first came to COPA as a parent was that everything is purposeful. So when I grew up doing these kinds of groups, we performed at the mall and, you know, like 12 malls in December, which was a waste of time and nobody watched except for the parents. So why are we doing it 12 times in random malls, you know? And I love that COPA, their goal is purposeful performing opportunities, purposeful tours. Another story, like I sent my daughter on a tour with her high school theater group to Florida, to Disney. And when they got home, I found out they did nothing. They just went and played at Disney for 4 days. There was not a single workshop. There was not a single performance. They didn't even, I mean, I'm sure they went to performances, but not like as a group. They just would, you know, if they went. And I was like, what was the point? Like, if I'm going to spend all that money for you to go on tour, like, we should have just gone as a family on vacation. What a waste. So we care a lot about our tours and we plan them very well. Now, that's not to say there's not downtime and fun time, but we plan with purpose and we want the tour to be worth your investment, worth their time. So we are very careful. So MTCA is this competition in California. It's Musical Theater Competitions of America. And it is a 3-day event where the students go and they participate in workshops. Sorry. And they compete as a group, and then they all compete a solo event as well. They can choose a song, a monologue, or a dance. And some kids choose to do more than one event. Some kids do all three. And we don't care about the trophies at all. It's super fun, but what we care about is the feedback and they get to work like with these professionals. And so for example, if they do a vocal solo, let's say, they go into the room and they don't just sing their song and say thank you and leave. They then get like 10 to 15 minutes of coaching and feedback and like working side by side with these people. And so I'll just speak to one of my, well, I can't speak to the experiences because they just make me cry. But like these kids come out of there just beaming, like all of the feedback is so positive. It's still constructive, but these people, they just have a way of delivering it that these kids, it's really, really meaningful and really awesome. And then they get to do like talkbacks and they take dance classes. Like they got to learn, I don't know if you're familiar with Legally Blonde, the musical, but there's this number, Brooke Wyndham, if you're familiar with the movie, she's like the one that's on trial for murder. And she, the original Brooke Wyndham from Broadway was teaching like a number from the musical. Like that's super cool and really fun. So anyway, it's an awesome tour. We drive down, they compete for 2 days. Then there's like a big awards ceremony and they spend the day at a couple theme parks after that. And then we come home. It's so fast. They're exhausted and it's super fun.
Katie, looking at this, we definitely don't care about trophies. And the truth is,
yeah, but we should share. Yes.
I think that competitions can really have a great purpose, but there's a part of me that just doesn't love the trophy world that we live in for sure. However, there is a category that we entered, the musical theater review category. We took 5 COPA performing companies and we swept the category nationally. So COPA companies took first, second, and third, which was awesome. Last year, we took first in the category as well. And so COPA is doing, it gives us a little bit of an idea on, and it's really fun to see kids and other studios and kind of be like, how are we doing? You know, how, and anyway, we're doing well, which is awesome.
Yeah, it was
And
awesome.
Alon loves it when we win.
It's pretty cool. And it's fun too, because there's a few other groups from Utah that go, and we've really developed like a friendship with those groups, and the kids really get to know each other. So it's pretty awesome because the theater is a small world. So you meet these kids at these, events, and then they might end up in college together. You just never know. Okay, the principal tour. I'm super excited. You guys, this tour, okay. So CPC and Principal will go on this tour. It's with Manhattan Concert Productions, which we toured with for a lot of years, maybe 4 or 5. And then the pandemic happened and it was canceled in 21 and 22. And we said, we are going in 2023 no matter what. And it did get canceled again. And we couldn't do it. And so we went to New York anyway and made up our own experience, and it was phenomenal. It was 2 days of workshops with casting directors and agents and Shoshana Bean. If you don't know who she is, look her up. And it was just awesome. Like the kids really loved it. They took classes at dance studios in New York City if they wanted to. We saw amazing shows, and it was just a really, really awesome 5 days, 6 days. But drum roll, we're so excited. MCP is back in action. Fingers crossed. We're crossing our fingers. The only way it won't happen is if not enough groups sign up, because it's been kind of out of action for a little while. But we've committed to them, like we will be there. Count us in. So what they do is they put on a concert, and it's typically a show that's no longer on Broadway, and they'll often like bring back original cast members or original directors. And when we first went, we were like, yeah, let's try it. They called us. They were like, we heard about your studio. We want you guys to come do this. Mindy asked me about it. I was like, I've actually heard about that because my son was a big fan of the show they were doing. And he was like, we have to go see this show. And I was like, oh my gosh, Max mentioned that. And that would be so cool. We should totally try it. So we're like, this will be fun. So we learned the music in advance on our own. They send us like tons of music with lots of notes, and we send them back videos, and they give us feedback. And we were like, okay, we'll show up, and then we'll get on the stage and the stars will be there and whatever. It's not like that. We showed up the first day to rehearsal, and we were doing parade, and Jason Robert Brown, who wrote it, along with a lot of other amazing musicals, was the music director. And he was rehearsing with these students and teaching them the music. And his wife was playing the piano. And the guy that wrote the script was there and shared with the kids the story. It's a true story, and why they wrote it, and the different the different details, and the stars that they got to perform with were right there in the room the whole week at every rehearsal, feet away, singing basically in their faces all of their solo parts. And I'm talking now, this wasn't all in this show, but over the 4 years we did Parade, Secret Garden, Crazy for You,
And that 100-year or the review with Leia Salonga.
okay. Oh yeah. And then and through those years, I'm just going to throw out names. I don't remember who's attached to which years, but Ben Platt, Laura Osnes, Jeremy Jordan, Tony Yazbek. Hopefully some of these names are familiar to some of you. Leia Salonga. If you ever watched 30 Rock, anyone a 30 Rock fan? Kevin, the Page was in one of their shows. The kid from Stand By Me, what's his name? Anyway,
Ramin
Karimloo, yeah.
Yazbek.
I said Tony Yazbek. So it's what's her name? Lara Benanti was in one year. So I mean, these are like all-star, like famous people casts.
What Frank Wildhorn one did we just do?
It got canceled. That was this year.
That's why. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. So next year, the show, they're doing Children of Eden. Oh, also one of the years, it was directed by Susan Stroman. So these kids that go on these tours also get to put this on their resume. So they get to put at the top of their resume, New York credit. I was in Crazy for You with Tony Yazbek and Laura Osnes, directed by Susan Stroman. And that's an attention getter when you walk into an audition and
It
they're
is.
like, oh, wow.
It is. I help with Tuacahn auditions, which is a regional theater in Utah. And we travel lots of cities to audition. And New York is a city that we go to every year. And I have seen previous COPA alumni come in the room to audition for Tuacahn with that credit, New York credit on their resume. And it does. It matters. Like it's a big deal. It's awesome.
Yeah. If nothing else, it gets them to look up and they go, oh, who's this person that I need to be watching? So,
And Katie, by the way, we have 15 minutes left.
okay. The next one is the America on Stage. This is like a pre-mini tour experience. It's just one day at Lagoon. We do that with our youngest companies, Prodigy, Premier, and Spire. It will be on May 18th next year. They get to sing on a stage. It's a little, not little, it's a big vocal competition, and then they get to spend the day at Lagoon. And we don't have any of these prices yet, but they will be there probably before you audition and for sure before you sign a contract. So you will know these prices. They're still in the process of getting them because it's not till next February. It takes time to get those, but we're close. I heard the only thing we're waiting on still is the hotel pricing. So we should have those really within any day. If you go back to the website, it will be updated. And then the Moxie company goes to Tuacahn. This is in June, right at the end of the year. It's also an awesome tour. We go down, they do 2 workshops, they get to perform twice, and they see 2 shows. It's short and we do lots of stuff. It's a really quick, fun tour. This is the dress code. I sort of already talked about it a little bit, so I won't get into that too much. I do want to show you here down at the bottom, it has the dates of the auditions. And if you click on this link, you can also get to this from the website directly. You can scroll down. And what I want to be sure to point out is right here under MDT auditions has American Fork. This form, you're going to want to fill it in advance before you show up that day. Please fill that out. And then this is just where it is, information about what to prepare, what to wear. I will say this online parent meeting section right here is going to be replaced with the video that we are making right now. So if you have friends that weren't here or that decide they're interested after the fact that the meeting is passed, direct them here and they can watch this video and catch up. And then here's the schedule. I will say these grades are what grade they're going to be in next year. So pay attention to that. I know this says, it does say 3rd through 5th graders. It should say 4th, but that's okay. And so just make sure you come at the right time. I will say if you're the first group of the day, like if you have a 2 o'clock check-in or a 3 o'clock check-in, we really do mean that check-in starts then. We don't start the audition then. So you don't need to come at like 2:30 or 2:45. We will not be ready for you. So for real, is that 2 to 2:30 check-in? You can show up anytime between then. We will not start till 2:30. So just keep that in mind as you look at this schedule and plan that day. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and go back to that schedule. Any questions on anything? I'm assuming that Sandra is keeping up with the questions in the chat, but does anyone have any questions quickly that you want to just throw out? Awesome. I'll keep going then. So it says, how do I choose an academy? If you're new to COPA, just to let you know, we have MDT companies, but we also have dance companies and pop companies and acting companies. So oftentimes people are like, I don't know if we should do pop or MDT. It's like Mindy said earlier, if your kid is playing all the musicals on Alexa and wants to be in shows and go to shows and knows all the current musicals, MDT is the place for them. If they're more like sing along with the radio, they're maybe more inclined to the pop program, and it's an awesome program and we would love to have them there as well. That it is possible to do MDT Academy, MDT company, and dance company. So if you have a student that's a really strong dancer and really loves to dance, they can do both. And if they want to do acting company and MDT company, they can as well. And acting company is an amazing program. My daughter actually does MDT and acting after she did MDT and dance for a long time, and then decided she wanted to try the acting company and loved it. So it was a great experience and she's planning to do it again. Okay. I showed you how to get to the audition flyer that you need, or the where to find the audition information and fill out that form. I will say, people always ask how we cast, how we decide who's in what company. What I like to explain to parents and students is that you're auditioning for company. You're not auditioning for Spire. You're not auditioning for Smash. You're just auditioning for MDT company. And then they really, truly are all the same experience. They have the same curriculum. They all do a medley. It's just, you're just placed a lot by age and a lot by ability. And I say that because we do go by age. There's a progression. We're not going to put a 4th grader in Smash or Spire even. You do grow through the program, but it's also by score, because oftentimes, almost all the time, a grade will be split. So when I was saying like Prodigy's like 3rd, 4th, 5th-ish, and Premier's 5th and 6th-ish, that's where the score would come in. And age, like if it's a super young 5th grader, we might keep them back in Prodigy, because trust me, even if they're the most talented 5th grader that auditioned, we have found that it's much better to stay with your age group and your peers than to bump ahead. So we feel very passionately about that. And we need those talented kids in every group. So like I said, every company is really the same experience, and they can grow wherever they are. So what we do is everyone auditions. We have lots of panelists there, usually 3 that will score. And then we have a magic sheet that automatically sums and averages their scores. So when the audition is all done, what I first do is I will sort them by birthday. So then they're all listed, literally oldest to youngest. Then I'll divide them by grade. And then I will look at each grade, and I'll say, like, I'll take the 7th graders, and I won't even look at names. We'll just look at the scores. And if there's a score that's just doesn't fit in, that's a sign typically that that student maybe isn't quite ready for the company experience, maybe needs a little more dance training, or a year in classes, a year or 2 in classes. And so we'll start to pull those kids out that maybe aren't quite ready to fit in with their age group quite yet. We still want them at COPA. Our classes are awesome. We never just don't cast anybody. We don't just ignore you. I will always send an email saying, here's where your scores fell. This is where we see that you could use some work. Here's the classes that we recommend. And we love our classes. And the thing I love about COPA too is that we don't just like put our best teachers on company and then, you know, the classes are like on the wayside. Our class teachers are awesome, and our classes are awesome, and they can also grow there. And I've seen it a bunch of times where I've said to a student, you know, not quite there, please take this class. And they do, and they come back, and we're like so impressed. And I love it when kids do that. They learn a good lesson in that process, so much more than if they go, I didn't get cast, I'm just gonna quit and not do it. So know that it's with a heart full of love that we say, please take these classes. We do want you at COPA. You're just not quite ready for company. Then once we've done that, I'll sort that age group, that grade by score. So now that, let's say our 7th graders are now listed highest score to lowest score. And then we just start at the top and we go, okay, we can take 16 kids in a company. Great, there's our top company, and there's our next company, and there's our next company. And that's why I say it's very ish, because the 7th graders might be split, the 9th graders might be split. And then we'll send you an email telling you what company you're in. Please pay close attention to that email. I know it's long and there's a lot of words and a lot of details and a lot of links, but I encourage you to just sit down, write all the dates in your calendar, fill out all the forms right then, get it all done quickly, because it's harder to go back and be like, oh, what did I miss? So yeah. Mindy, do you want to chat about acting company and Alta real fast?
Yes, I do. Okay, so acting company, Katie talked a little bit about, but if you're looking for something that is acting only, or if you're looking for something for your child that maybe is less of a time commitment, but still gives them an opportunity to perform, or potentially less financial commitment. Or if you're looking for something in addition to what your music, dance, theater company member has been doing or wants to do, acting company can be a great option for all of those three situations. Just like Katie, my daughter, I have two daughters in COPA. One of my daughters did MDT and acting, and the other one did MDT, acting, and dance, which was a little much last year, but it was awesome. And I cannot tell you how wonderful the acting program is. We were speaking specifically as a parent, I was able to see incredible progress, not just in acting ability, but in confidence in both of my children. And so it's something that my oldest daughter will be doing. My youngest daughter, I'm not sure if we can make it happen. I don't think, Katie, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think dance and dance and acting can overlap this year. So she has to make a choice there. But MDT and acting can overlap, and it's a great complement to each other. Just really quickly, they do 4 sections. They do a Shakespeare play, and they're doing Hamlet and Midsummer Night's Dream. And that will be spectacular. And then they do, for their section 2, they film contemporary monologues for like demo reels for agents, and it's really professional and an amazing experience. And for their section 3, they work on improvisation, and they're performing that coming up. If you're wanting to kind of get a feel of what acting companies are doing, Thursday this week, they'll be performing at Comedy Sports. You can find that on our Instagram account, all the details of the times. That we have a junior company and a senior company, junior high and high school. And so that's
they also go compete at the Shakespeare Festival. They do a little tour.
They do. And we competed really well. This last year was the first time in a long time. We went once to the Shakespeare Festival years and years ago, but this is the first time companies have gone. And we competed really, really well. And it was an incredible experience. So acting company, you can find more out about it at utahcopa.com, and then just go under companies and you'll see an acting tab, and it will have all the information just like what Katie went through. There's also an acting company parent meeting. If that's something that you're interested in, you can email us and we can send you that recording. Okay, Alta, just really quickly, we partnered thanks to a connection with Katie Higby and these friends that own a private school called Alta Independent. And Alta is a nationally accredited private school, and they recognize COPA classes. Oh, I'm putting it in the chain right now, but it's saying it's only going, here we go. Let's see if that works. Do you guys see the link? They are nationally accredited, and the credit that you receive can be transferred to any public high school, and it will be recognized by any university or state college. And so what I've done and what Katie's done has been a really great blessing for our family. But my oldest daughter, it only matters in 9th grade. That's when credits start counting. And COPA credits can be given for every fine art credit required for your school, as well as every elective credit. For Alpine School District, don't quote me on this, it's something like 1.5 fine art credits and something like 11 elective credits.
9.5, maybe.
Thank you. 9.5. The reason I'm getting 11 is because there's 1.5 credits of PE, and COPA can actually suffice for one of the 1.5 credits. And so Alta also offers like lifetime fitness you can do through them, or my daughter and Katie's daughters have also done they have like full science and English. What we've done for our families, my daughter takes kind of heavier core classes at the school, and she actually takes seminary. So she's there 5 days a week. I'm sorry, 5 periods a week. And so she has 3 periods one day, 2 periods another day. And she has time we actually study Japanese in the morning as a family. She goes to school later, and then she has time. She gets out earlier to do homework for her tough classes, and then she comes to COPA. And at the end of the year, she writes a 2 to 3 page paper. Every 120 hours in a COPA classroom counts as a credit. So we have that broken down, and we can tell you how many credits a company experience can be. And it's about, you get a discount for being a COPA student, and we get no kickback. There's no like benefit to COPA outside
like a business partnership. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just beneficial to families who this may be of interest to. And so you would just pay them directly, but you get a discount for being a COPA member. And I think it's something like $250 per credit per year. So if that time is, if you're able to do that or that time at home would be appreciated, that's an option for you guys. Okay, Katie.
I will tell a funny story. So about 2 hours ago, I got a phone call from a panicked mom, COPA mom, who has a senior who's graduating in 2 weeks and just realized they're half a credit short. And I'm like, we can do it. We started counting up their hours. And I'm like, call this lady and tell her your predicament, have her start writing her paper. I'm like, we could have this solved by Friday, you know? So I
That's
thought that was
awesome.
very funny. Make it happen. Okay. Yeah, so once you're cast, we will have another parent meeting, very similar to this one, on June 1st. We don't have the exact time yet, but just kind of block out that evening. The point of that meeting is we will go specifically through the contract. So this is just sort of what to expect, calendar, what are you getting into? At that meeting, now you're cast, we will go through like the expectations of a company member and our commitment to you and attendance and all of that stuff. It's a much more in-depth, different information than what we just went through. So please plan to attend that meeting, or again, we will record it and share it as well. But it is important information that you definitely don't want to miss out on. Okay, it is 6:30. We are supposed to be ending at 6:30, but we do have a tiny cushion. So if there's any other questions that people want to throw out really quickly, I know
And
Son-
also, Katie, we'd be
yeah.
happy to answer questions via email too.
Yes.
So if we don't get to your question now, you can definitely, Katie, do you want emailing info? Or
You can email info@utahcopa.com, or if you know for sure it's specifically MDT related, you can email it to Katie at Utah COPA. It's KATIE at utahcopa.com. Some questions that I've seen that are really good that might apply to all of you is like what to sing. We prefer musical theater or Disney. However, some of these kids, it's their first audition. And in that case, I would say sing whatever they are most comfortable singing. We're not going to be like, oh, they sang a pop song, they're not qualified. We might go, are you sure you want to do MDT? Maybe pop is your thing. So I mean, that's really the best reason to do a musical theater song. But have them do whatever their favorite, most comfortable, they're going to feel confident song is. There's also a question about the piano tracks the piano versus tracks. If you show up, we prefer piano, but if you show up at the track, it's not a deal breaker. The reason we prefer piano is there's a few reasons. Number one, we consider it an important part of our training. If you go to audition for a show at Hale or anywhere, they're going to want sheet music, and they actually say no tracks. Like, tracks are not allowed. So it's better to learn it with us and maybe mess up because you're not used to what the piano sounds like, or you didn't understand when to come in, than to mess up in front of the casting directors at Hale. So we are a safe space. We will let them start over. We will help them find their place. So we consider it part of the training to learn how to find the music, how to cut it, how to mark it, how to walk up to the accompanist and say, start here and here. This is how fast I want it. And then to maybe not come in at the right time. And so this is the place to practice that. Number two is it's actually faster for us. Tracks take a long time. The device shut down and now we have to go find mom, or we lost the number, or I can't hear where it's starting. And so it actually for us makes the audition longer when there's more tracks than when there are quick piano auditions. So again, not a deal breaker. We do not want this to be like a headache for you. If it means they won't audition, don't worry about it. Come with a track. We'd rather have them, but we do encourage the piano mostly for the benefit of your student having that opportunity. Any other questions that feel like they apply to everybody, or anyone want to throw questions out there? Just unmute yourself and shout it out. Awesome. I will say, I should have said this earlier for the audition. We do dance first, so it is important to come on time. But again, not early. We've already built in the early for you. So come on time. They'll dance first, and then they will all sing. And if you're like, we need to leave fast, get there first so that you have an early number, because they are excused as soon as they are done singing. Sorry, I just saw a great question. That's awesome. And I should have addressed this, and we need to add it to our flyer. That is something I didn't even think to add. Are we bringing music videos back? Sort of. What we've decided to do is have it be an add-on experience. So tomorrow I will go add that back on. It is listed in our summer camps, but it's not listed on the company thing, and it should be. So what we've decided to do, this is an experiment this year, is it's not included in the fees and tuition. And we did that to keep fees down, because fees have been going up on so many things. We felt like eliminating the music video would help take those fees down. But we know a lot of people still want to do it. And we also know some people don't care and don't want to do it. So we're offering a week-long summer camp only for MDT company members. You have to be an MDT company member to even sign up. But basically, if you are an MDT company member and want to do a music video, you can sign up for this add-on music video experience. And that way we're only charging the people that want to do it and not charging the people that don't care to do it. And we think this will give us a really good measure of interest. You know, if all 125 sign up, we'll bring them back and we'll do them for everybody, maybe. Or we'll figure something else out. And maybe this will be the perfect solution. I'm hoping this is the perfect solution, where it's just, if you want to do it, great. If you don't want to do it, that's also great. So yeah, that's what we're doing for music videos.
Is it a 16 bar cut?
Okay, so
Yeah, 30 to 45 seconds is
so
right.
there's two ways that people say it. 16 to 32 bars is what you'll typically be asked for at an audition. I'm just gonna do a little teaching moment here. However, that's really kind of a lame way to say it, because some music's tempo is fast and some music's tempo is slow. So 16 bars could be 20 seconds and it could be a minute. And so traditionally I would aim for 30 to 45 minutes or 45 seconds. And when you are looking at, if you get an audition notice for something outside of COPA and they say 16 to 32 bars, in your brain, just go, oh, that's 30 to 45 seconds, and pay more attention to that than the bars. Also, this is gonna be another teaching moment. Make sure your cut makes sense. We will often have kids like stop in the middle of a sentence because that's their 16 to 30, that's their bars.
It's so literally that it will be like,
you can finish your phrase. And that is true even with Broadway auditions.
yes.
Sing a cut that makes sense. Finish the sentence, finish the phrase. It should feel like you told a little story in that 45 seconds, not the sun will come out. Thank you.
Katie, that was the song I was going to demonstrate too. I was going to do the last line.
Oh yeah.
Put it a day. Thank you.
Yeah. So don't take it too literally. 30 to 45 seconds. It'll be awesome. So yeah. Okay. If there's no other questions, we will adjourn this meeting. Again, feel free to email us. I will say this should not be a scary experience. Tell your kids this is a fun audition. We consider this like a workshop audition. This is where they get to practice auditioning. We are going to give them so many chances. We are going to love them. We are going to let them start over.
Cry in the room about how talented and darling they are.
We do often cry in the room.
And this is the other thing. If you're on the fence, just come audition. It's like a free class anyway. Yep. So come to it. And then if you can see how the cookie crumbles, and if your kid gets in a company that works in your financial situation and your family life and schedule, then absolutely we'd love to have you. If not, sorry, that was my dogs. If not, then there's no pressure. You can decline with no pressure at all. So,
and just so you know, you're not like blacklisted. If you decline, we still love you, and come to a class or come audition next year when it might be a better fit for your family. We've never been like, oh, they turned us down last year, don't consider them. We're not that kind of a program. So we want you to do what's best for your family. I should have mentioned at the financial commitment, we do have scholarship opportunities. They are somewhat limited because there's not really a fund. It's just, you know, they're need-based. So if you are like, oh my gosh, I really can't afford this, but my kid loves it so much, come audition. When you get your casting email, there's a link, fill out the form, and hopefully it will work out that they can still participate.
And fill out the form quickly.
Yes,
Like
that's what I was gonna say next.
it needs to be filled out really fast.
Please don't sign your contract and then call us in September and be like, hey, I need to figure out a scholarship. It's not how it works. When you accept your spot, fill out the form right then. We will do like your interview and figure out what your scholarship is before you sign your contract, so we can make sure it works for you and for COPA.
And
Then
scholarships are given based on talent and financial need.
yeah, they are need-based for sure. So don't fill it out just to see like if maybe you'll get one, because it's not really how it works. It's not like college scholarships. But yeah, don't let it be a deal breaker. If your kid really loves this and really needs to be here, we want them here. So
Katie, one last question. When can they try out for the music video camp?
oh, you don't have to try out for the music video camp. If you are casting company, then you have a free pass to sign up for it. So just being in company is your audition, and anyone who makes company can choose to opt into that camp or not. So, and since it's not on the flyer, I'll just tell you, it's the week right after company camp. So company camp's like July 31st through August 4th, I think. And the music video camp is August, I think, 7th through 10th or 11th, something like that. And they'll like learn the whole thing, film the whole thing, and we'll decide what we're doing based on who we get. If we get 100 kids, we will consider doing 3 videos. If we get 20 kids, we'll do 1 video. If they're younger, we'll choose something towards that age group. If they're older, if it's a mix. So we're just gonna kind of see. When is camp signups? That'll be in your casting email. So in your casting email, this is why I was like, go through every line and do all the things, because it will have like, sometimes different companies have 2 vocal tech options and you'll need to choose a vocal tech option. You fill out a form to say, there's 2 steps in getting cast. So you'll get your email and you have to fill out what we call the acceptance form. And that's basically saying, yep, I'm planning to participate. And in that form, we're going to ask you a lot of questions like, which vocal tech hour do you want? Do you want to do an extra dance camp? Do you want to do the music video camp? Do you, oh, we need your t-shirt sizes, all that stuff. Do you want add-on dance classes? Because then we will take that form, order your t-shirts, sign you up for all the camps and classes. You don't even have to register your kids. We register them for you. So that form is really important. After you've filled out that form, we will send you your contract. And then once you've signed your contract, we will register you. So it's like a 3-step process, and that's where that camp sign up will be. So, okay, awesome. We're gonna adjourn. Yeah, great questions. Please keep them coming if you have questions. Invite your friends. We added a company last year. We have 7 instead of 6 now. And so we have more spots than usual. So it's a great time to join. You know, 2 or 3 years ago, we were turning away a lot of kids because we just didn't have spots. But with this added company, we do have a few more spots and would love to get lots more kids at COPA. So one more question. 2 days for the company auditions. Okay, so I on the website where so I showed you the Google or the form that had all that information down at the bottom there.
I put that in the chat, Katie. I put the link directly to that, so you guys can click above.
Great. But once they're out of the meeting, they can't see that link, right?
So maybe click it now if you'd like to, and it will open in your computer before you leave.
The path to get to it is go to utahcopa.com and choose companies and musical and auditions. And then in that auditions sheet, if you scroll down, you can see the MDT auditions for AF. And there's a schedule of what grades come at what time.
Oh, actually, I didn't put that link. I put the link.
I'll put it in right now.
There too. Yeah, put that.
It's on the front desk flyer.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I put the front desk flyer with all the information on tuition and classes, but I didn't put the audition flyer, so.
Okay.
And you guys, Instagram is a really great, and Facebook are a great way to find out information too. You can follow us at Utah COPA, and it will say when parent meetings are, it will say when auditions are happening, it will link you directly to the flyer and the website. So checking Instagram is always a great idea too.
Awesome. Okay, we're gonna let you guys go. It's 6:45. We only went 15 minutes over, which is awesome. And look for this video if you want to refer back to anything, or email us if you have any questions.
Happy mayhem. Thanks, Katie. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.